Here we are, man. Back to normal life. Regular old gameplay commentaries where we can take our time, we could talk about things slowly, let the personality shine in there and not try to get through 7 pieces of news in the span of like 30 minutes or so. Oh man, it's been a crazy weekend. Absolutely crazy weekend with the draft on Friday, draft day 2 on Saturday, the mediating Sunday in between, and then of course free agency opening up on Monday. It's been a crazy past 4 days, and I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep. I'm like Matthew Tkachuk, you know, just maybe without the snow. But either way, today we are talking about one of the biggest things that we had discussed yesterday morning that did not end up happening. You see, 2 nights ago, 2 nights ago, we made this video saying that Jacob Trouba is done in New York, and in that video, we cited a New York Post Larry Brooks article that went out there and said, pretty much in the article, that Jacob Trouba, the decision has already been made. He's done. The Larry Brooks article said that the Rangers were going to trade Trouba, either that or they're gonna waive Trouba. And this was going to be a thing. They already had their minds made up. They wanted him to leave. Well, all it took was just over 24 hours for Larry Brooks to go out there and write another article and publish it yesterday in the afternoon. We'll go out there and read this one together because it goes over the updates as to why Jacob Trouba has not gotten traded. Where Larry Brooks in the last article concluded saying that Jacob Trouba and his decision with the team has already been made, this new article opens up by talking about how the captain of the New York Rangers is Jacob Trouba, and that fact may very well remain so for the foreseeable future. The anticipated trade to Detroit did not materialize after Trouba handed in his 15-team no-trade list to GM Chris Drury as due on Monday. Sources now report that the deal as depicted in this space on Saturday with the Blue Shirts retaining $2.5 million of Trouba's annual $8 million cap charge the next 2 years was not on the table. We are told that the suggestion that Trouba rejected a deal is not true. Monday's first day of free agency came and went without the Rangers shoring up their defense. Indeed, the club lost incumbent 6th defenseman Erik Gustafsson to, well, the Red Wings for a 2-year deal at $2 million a year. Zach Jones moved up the depth chart to that third pair spot on the left side. The article then talks about how other defensemen that could have filled up the void that Trouba would have left all got signed pretty quickly. Tanev and OEL went to the Leafs, Pesce and Dillon signed with the Devils, and Nikita Zadorov went to the Boston Bruins, and then it says this. If the Rangers pressed to move Jacob Trouba in order to clear a substantial amount of cap space, they would have to find a replacement via the trade market, for which the club has few available, valued assets. The team has no one in the pipeline ready to step in for top 6 minutes. There is, however, the Post has learned, another factor in the equation that might keep the 30-year-old in New York for a longer spell. When Trouba signed the current 7-year, $56 million contract he's got in July of 2019, after having been acquired as a pending RFA from Winnipeg, his 5-year no-movement clause was designed to expire in conjunction with his wife Kelly Tyson Trouba's completion of her 3-year residency at a New York hospital. But Dr. Tyson Trouba's residency was deferred for a year at the start, so that the program which she is required to complete will end instead on July 1st, 2025. The Troubas also welcomed their first child, a boy named Axel, in mid-January. There is no guarantee that Jacob Trouba would accept a trade, even to a club on his approved list, if that means leaving his wife and 9-month-old, as of training camp, behind. It's not as if Dr. Tyson Trouba can pick up, transfer her credits to another hospital, accompany her husband, and still be licensed as a physician. We are told that this has become a bigger part of the league-wide conversation, with several teams that otherwise would have been a big-time player for Trouba now likely to wait until next year when Dr. Tyson Trouba's residency ends with the defenseman having one final season on his contract. Sources report that communication between Trouba, his camp, and Drury and management have been professional without animosity that would affect or negatively impact the defenseman's role as captain. If nothing further develops, it might become a one-sentence Q&A the first day of training camp. So with this in mind, we kind of understand now where Larry Brooks is coming from. how quickly the whiplash has been put in state where one night Brooks writes an article saying the Rangers have already decided that Trouba is going to leave. They're going to trade him. They're going to waive him. They're going to do something to get him in his $8 million contract off the books, only for the very next night Brooks to write saying, oh no, sorry, he's staying. Like, no, we now know why he is staying. He didn't get traded to Detroit, and now we know that some other NHL teams may not actually be too keen on trading for him right now. Jacob Trouba, as we had talked about, does have a 15-team no-trade list, which means that he has the ability to get traded to 16 NHL teams, supposedly with no problems. But I am kind of questioning what Brooks means when he says, oh, even if Trouba gets traded to one of those 16 teams that he's allowed to get traded to, he may not even be willing to go there. Like, how does that work? If you have a no-trade clause, then okay, I get it. Like, you're straight up just allowed to say no to wherever it is you get sent to. But if you're on a modified no-trade clause, you only have a 15-team no-trade list. There are 32 teams in the NHL. Exclude the Rangers, exclude those 15 teams. That's a pool of 16 other teams that you should be allowed to get traded to. It is kind of bizarre how Brooks is writing about how Jacob Trouba may be able to reject the trade to those teams as well. Is he indicating, oh, it's like he has the opportunity to not report to any of those other teams if he gets traded to one of the 16? If he ends up getting moved, he's going to refuse, or he's going to express that he doesn't want to go there because he wants to stay with his wife and his kid, which is totally fine. Like, I'm not going to go out there and criticize Jacob Trouba for being a family guy and exercising the rights that he has on his contract. But it does get kind of weird when you acknowledge that the modified no-trade stipulation in his contract, which technically allows him to get traded, period, is still being contested despite the fact that it technically shouldn't be, if you think about it by the rules. Now, we've got a lot of people responding to this in both positive and negative ways. Different people are talking about how, hey, Jacob Trouba has the rights on his contract, and he is fully free to exercise them as see fit. We have a lot of Rangers fans kind of pissed off about the situation, saying, hey, like, this guy was just not good. He's going to be making $8 million on our payroll for next season, and that hurts the team more than it helps them. There are also conversations as to whether or not this could go well off in the room. I know Brooks said in the article here that it doesn't really seem to have a sort of internal impact. It seems like everybody involved is okay with what's going on, which, you know, that's fine. Like, you'd rather see things be peaceful rather than aggressive against each other. You don't want teams to self-implode on themselves, right? So it's good that there isn't really any animosity here. It's just kind of bizarre how all the reporting went from he's done, he's going to get traded, he's going to get waived, to one day later where it's like, no, sorry, he's staying for another year at the very least. Good on Trouba for being a family guy and doing his best to uphold his own personal timeline as it fits with his wife's timeline of her own advancement of her career. That's totally admirable. It's just when you involve $8 million and a pro hockey team with millions and millions of fans that were very unhappy with the way that he played this previous playoffs, that's when it gets a little bit interesting. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as to the Jacob Trouba trade update, why he has not gotten moved, how the Red Wings trade that we thought was going to happen did not end up happening, and where things can go from here. Article will be linked in the description. There is a little bit more in it if you wanted to read yourself, but for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.